It was a cold evening. The wind howled outside, shaking the old wooden door. Inside the small cabin, Jake sat near the fire, sipping hot tea. His dog, Max, lay beside him, ears twitching. Jake lived alone in the forest, far from the nearest town. He liked peace. No noise, no people. Just trees, stars, and silence. But that night, something was different. Knock. Not. Jake froze. Who could be out here, in the middle of nowhere? He slowly stood up. Max growled low, knock. Knock. The sound was weak, not angry, not loud. It sounded tired. Jake walked to the door and opened it. His eyes went wide. A girl stood there. But she wasn't human. She had silver skin. Her long hair was white as snow. Her eyes were big, glowing blue. She wore torn clothes and had no shoes. Her legs were shaking. Her arms were wrapped around her stomach. Jake opened his mouth, but before he could speak, she collapsed. He caught her just in time. Hey, are you okay? He said, holding her gently. She was cold. Ice cold. Her body was thin, too thin. She had cuts on her arms, dirt on her face. She looked half-starved. Jake didn't wait. He carried her inside and laid her on the couch. Max sniffed her, then sat beside her protectively. Jake grabbed a blanket and wrapped it around her. Then he ran to the kitchen. He poured warm soup into a bowl and brought it to her. She blinked weakly. Her lips moved. She was trying to say something, but no words came. Here, Jake said softly. Eat something. You need it. He brought the spoon close to her mouth. She stared at it, confused. Slowly she sniffed it. Her stomach growled loud. Jake smiled. Yeah, I thought so. She opened her mouth and took a sip. Then she fainted. Jake panicked. He checked her pulse. Still alive. Still breathing. Hang in there, he whispered. You're safe now. He stayed up all night, checking on her. He put another log on the fire to keep her warm. Max never left her side. The next morning, the girl opened her eyes. Jake was asleep on the chair. She looked around, scared. She tried to stand, but her legs were too weak. She fell with a soft thud. Jake woke up fast. Whoa. It's okay. You're safe. Don't move too much. She backed away, shaking her head. Her eyes were wide with fear. She didn't understand his words. Jake raised his hand slowly. It's okay. I won't hurt you. You're okay now. He picked up the soup bowl again and offered it. She stared at him, then at the bowl. Finally, her hunger won. She took it from him with shaking hands. She drank fast, like she hadn't eaten in days. Jake watched her quietly. You're not from around here, he said, almost to himself. The girl looked at him, then pointed to herself. She struggled with the word. La. Jake smiled. Sella, that your name? She nodded. I'm Jake, he said, pointing to himself. Jake. She nodded again. Jake. They sat in silence. Just the sound of the fire crackling and Max's soft breathing. After a while, Sella looked out the window. Her face turned pale. She spoke fast in her strange language. Her eyes showed fear. What is it? Jake asked. She pointed at the door, then made a sign like a weapon. Her body shook. Jake stood up and locked the door. Don't worry, you're safe here. Sella stared at him. Then she whispered in broken English, please, don't give me away. Jake blinked. He didn't know who she was. He didn't know where she came from. But looking at her face, tired, scared, and innocent, he made a silent promise. He wouldn't let anything happen to her. No matter what. The scream was soft, but sharp. Jake woke up instantly. He turned toward the couch and saw her wide awake, eyes glowing, body trembling. She was curled in the corner like a trapped animal, holding the spoon like a weapon. Max barked once, confused. Sella. Jake said gently, raising his hands. "It's me. You're safe." But Sella didn't understand. Her breath was fast. Her chest rose and fell like she was ready to run, even though she couldn't stand yesterday. Jake took a slow step back. "Okay, no sudden moves, just calm down." Sella looked around. She saw the fire, the walls, the strange place. She didn't remember arriving. The last thing she remembered was cold, ... And then a warm voice. Her stomach growled again, loud like thunder in the quiet room. Jake pointed to the bowl of soup near the fire. "It's for you," he said, nodding slowly. Sella didn't answer. Her glowing eyes stayed locked on his face. Then she slowly, carefully, reached for the bowl. Her hands still shook. She brought the soup to her lips and drank. Tears formed in her eyes. She had never tasted food this warm, this soft, this kind. Jake sat on the floor across from her. No chair, no pressure. Just presence. After a few minutes, Sella lowered the bowl and stared at the dog beside him. Max wagged his tail. "He's friendly," Jake smiled. "Max?" Sella tilted her head. "Max?" Jake chuckled. "Close enough." She pointed to herself. "Sella." "Yeah, I remember," Jake nodded. "Sella." For a while they just sat. A human, an alien, and a dog inside a quiet cabin in the middle of a forest. Jake stood up and brought her a towel and clean water. She touched the towel like it was treasure. "You can wash if you want," Jake said, pointing toward the small bathroom. Sella didn't understand all the words, but she understood the kindness in his voice. She stood slowly, legs wobbling. She took one step, then another, and didn't fall. Jake stayed outside the bathroom while she cleaned. He heard water running, then silence. And then a soft sound, like crying. He didn't open the door. He didn't say anything. He just waited. A few minutes later, the door creaked open. Sella stepped out wearing the soft shirt Jake had left for her. It was too big. It made her look even smaller, but she was clean now, and she smiled just a little. Jake smiled back. "Better?" She didn't answer in words, but her eyes were warmer. Now she sat by the fire again, and Jake brought her bread and fruit. She ate slowly this time. Watching him, finally she whispered, "Why, help me." Jake looked at her, surprised. "You speak a little English?" She nodded. "Learn from voice machine, not much." Jake smiled gently. "Well, you're doing great." He paused, then answered her question. "Because you needed help," he said. "That's all." Sella looked down. No one helped before. Jake's face darkened. "Who hurt you?" She didn't answer. Instead, she pulled something from the inside of her shirt. A small crystal. It glowed faintly, pulsing like a weak heartbeat. Jake leaned forward. "What is that?" She clutched it tightly. "Life. For me." Jake stared at her. "You mean, it keeps you alive?" Sella nodded once, but cracked, weak now. Her eyes met his. "If die, I die." Jake felt a chill in his chest. This girl wasn't just hungry. She was running from death. And something told him others were still hunting her. Before he could ask more, Sella suddenly tensed. Her ears twitched. She looked toward the window. Jake followed her gaze out in the distance, deep in the trees. Red lights were moving. Sella whispered in fear, "They find me." The trees were blinking red. Not natural. Not safe. Jake's cabin, once hidden in peaceful forest shadows, now glowed with strange moving lights from deep between the trees. Sella pressed herself against the wall, breathing fast. Jake locked the door, then the windows. He grabbed the old hunting rifle from behind the cabinet, not because he wanted to use it, but because something told him this wasn't a wild animal or a lost hiker. This was something else. "Are they looking for you?" he asked quietly. Sella nodded, trembling. "Track, crystal." She lifted the glowing stone from under her shirt. It pulsed again, like a heartbeat on fire. Jake pointed to it. Can't you turn it off? Sella shook her head. If stop. I stop, Jake understood. The crystal kept her alive, but it was also a beacon. How many are coming? He asked. Sella whispered, hunters, 3, maybe more. Jake peeked through the blinds. Red beams scanned the trees. Long shadows passed across the snow. He turned to her. If they find you, what will they do? Sella looked at him with fear. In her eyes, sell, or kill. Jake didn't ask more. He didn't need to. Her scars, her shaking voice, her eyes, they all told. The truth. She was hunted, used, running, but not anymore. Not while she was under his roof. Jake turned off every light. He put out the fire. Darkness filled the cabin. He whispered, stay low. Be quiet. Max stayed by Sella, growling softly. Footsteps crunched outside. Then a voice, metallic, cold, and loud, rang through the forest. Lunar asset number 79. Surrender immediately. You will not be harmed if you obey. Sella shook her head hard. Lie. Always lie. Jake stepped closer to the window. He saw them, 3 figures in black armor. Their faces were covered. One of them held a scanner. It was glowing, tracking the crystal. Jake whispered, we have to move. But where? Sella whispered. No ship, no skypath. Jake thought fast. Then he remembered an old storm. Shelter under his shed, cold, small, but hidden. He helped Sella stand. She grabbed her crystal and held it close to her chest. Max followed, silent and alert. They slipped out the back door, into the freezing night. Each step crunched on the snow. But the wind was strong now, loud enough to cover their sounds. Jake led them behind the shed. He opened the hidden trapdoor. In here, he whispered. Sella looked down into the darkness. She was scared. But she trusted him. She nodded and climbed down. Max followed. Jake closed the door above them, covering it with snow and wood. Just in time, the hunters reached the cabin. Jake could hear them outside. They kicked open the front door. Silence. Then smashing sounds. Furniture breaking. Footsteps. Thudding. Jake held his breath. In the dark space below, Sella clung to her crystal. She looked at him and whispered, why, help me? You don't know me. Jake looked back at her and answered softly, because you didn't deserve to be left outside, freezing and alone. Sella's eyes filled with tears, not fear this time, but something else. Something like hope. Above them, the hunters searched. But they didn't find the trapdoor. After some time, the red lights faded. The footsteps moved away. The trees went quiet again. Jake waited longer, just to be sure. Then he helped Sella back up. Inside the cabin, the place was a mess. Broken wood. Trashed kitchen. Ripped couch. But they were safe. For now. Sella sat on the floor, holding her crystal close. Jake lit a small candle. I think it's time, he said, sitting beside her. Tell me everything. She looked into the flame, her voice shaking. My planet was full of energy crystals. My kind born with one inside. We are valuable. Jake listened, eyes locked on hers. We were raised like tools. Sold young, no freedom. I escaped transport ship, crashed here. I ran until I found your door. Jake clenched his jaw. His voice was low. So they don't see you as a person, just a thing. Sella nodded slowly. But you saw me. Jake stood up. Well, now they've seen me too, so we run together. Sella blinked. Together? Jake smiled. You're not alone. Anymore. Asterisk, the cabin was broken, but it had never felt more alive. Sella stood in the center of the room, her bare feet touching the cracked wooden floor. The candlelight made her silver skin glow like moonlight. Jake watched her in silence as she held the crystal to her chest like it was a part of her body. Because it was. Tell me, Jake said softly. What is that thing really? Sela looked at him, then at the fire. Her voice was quiet, like a song that had forgotten how to be heard. In my people, we are born with light inside. Crystal grows with us, from baby to adult. Jake sat down slowly. It grows inside you, Sela nodded. It feeds on emotions, on love, on life, Jake blinked. So when they take it, they take everything, she whispered. She knelt by the fire. Her hands shook as she unhooked the small glowing gem from her chest. A thin scar ran just below her collarbone. The crystal was attached by a thread of silver vines, part metal, part living. Jake stared. Is it painful? Yes, Sela said. But not like you think. Pain is not in body. Pain is knowing they only want this. She lifted the crystal. Not me, just this. Silence fell. Even Max didn't move. Jake leaned forward. So, your kind, your race, are they all like you? Used to be, she whispered. Now most are gone, crystals stolen. Bodies left behind. Jake's hands curled into fists. They kill your people for power? Sela nodded. Trade. Energy. Warships. All run on us. She looked at him now, her eyes glowing brighter. But no one ever asked how we felt. No one asked if we wanted to live. Jake's voice was low. You do. Sela looked confused. What? You want to live, he repeated. I see it. You ran. You survived. You found me. That means something. Her hands tightened around the crystal. It flickered slightly brighter. Jake noticed. It reacts when you feel something, doesn't it? Yes, she said. Fear makes it weak. Kindness makes it strong. She looked directly at him. You make it strong. Jake gave a sad smile. Well, I've been called worse. For the first time, Sela laughed. It was soft, broken, but real. Jake stood up and opened a cabinet. Inside, he pulled out a small toolkit. If that thing keeps you alive and it's cracked, then I'll fix it. Sela stood fast. No, it's too dangerous. Why? She pointed at the glowing lines running across the crystal. If wrong touch, it breaks. Boom. Jake raised an eyebrow. Boom like explosion? She nodded. Jake paused, then said with a grin, so basically, you're carrying a time bomb powered by emotions? Sela gave a small smile. Yes. And right now it likes you. Jake laughed nervously. Good, let's keep it that way. Sela sat beside him, watching his careful hands. He didn't try to open it. He didn't poke or press. He just studied the shape, the energy flow, the weak points. I don't know much about alien tech, Jake said. But I do know this, it's fading. And if we don't charge it soon. Sela finished his sentence. I fade too. Jake nodded. Is there anywhere nearby, he asked. Anyone who can help? Sela thought for a moment, then whispered, Black Market. Far west, a trader. He once helped my kind. He hides in a canyon. Jake grabbed a map from the wall. Show me. She pointed. It was far. Very far. And deep in dangerous lands. Jake didn't flinch. We'll go. First light. Sela looked at him again. Why do you risk so much? For me. Jake didn't look at her when he answered. Because I've lived alone long enough. And I'm tired of watching good things die. Sela placed the crystal back against her chest. It glowed brighter than before. The sun didn't rise that morning. Thick clouds rolled across the sky like smoke from a dying fire. Snow fell slowly, as if time itself was holding its breath. Jake tightened the straps on his old backpack. Inside were food, water, rope, a first aid kit, and a folded piece of paper with a red circle drawn in the center. Sela stood by the door, wrapped in a long coat Jake had stitched for her overnight. Her crystal glowed weakly, like a candle fighting the wind. Are you sure about this? Jake asked. Sela didn't answer with words. She simply stepped outside. Max followed them both. The journey had begun. They walked for hours, through trees that whispered secrets, across frozen streams that cracked under their weight. Sela didn't complain once, even though her legs shook with every step. Jake looked back. "You okay?" She nodded, then pointed to the sky. "Too quiet." Jake listened. No birds, no engines, no life. Just cold, just danger. By midday, they stopped near a cave. Jake made a small fire, and Sela sat beside it, breathing slow. The crystal was dimmer now, Jake noticed. "We'll get there in time," he said. Sela gave a small smile. "If not, thank you anyway." Jake frowned. "Don't talk like that." Sela looked at him with quiet eyes. "Your world is kind and cruel, like mine, but you are only kind." Jake didn't know what to say, so he gave her soup instead. She smiled wider. Even Max leaned his head on her lap. That night, the wind howled like wolves. The sky turned deep gray. Jake built his shelter using branches and a tarp. He wrapped Sela in thick blankets and lay close to block the cold. But still, her body shook. Jake looked at her. Her lips were pale, her skin too cold. "I need to warm you up," he said. Sela looked scared. "Not like that," Jake added quickly. "Just body heat, that's all." She nodded slowly, trusting him. He pulled her close, carefully, gently. Her head rested against his chest. "I hear it," she whispered. "Hear what?" "Your heart." Jake smiled in the dark. "Still working, huh?" She whispered, "Strong, safe." And for a moment, she stopped shivering. The next day, they reached the canyon. It was sharp and deep, hidden between mountains, a place no one would find without knowing the way. Sela led the path now. Her feet knew this route. Finally, they reached a metal door covered in vines and ice. She knocked 3 times, then once more. A hiss, a click, the door opened. A tall alien with 4 arms and glowing red eyes stood there, blinking. He stared at Jake, then at Sela. "Sela," he said in a deep, strange voice. "I thought you were dead." Sela stepped forward, weak but steady. "Please, we need help. My crystal is fading." The alien stepped aside. "Come quickly." Inside was a hidden lab full of strange machines and old tech. Jake looked around, amazed. "Who is this guy?" Sela whispered. "His name is Vec. He used to protect my people before they were hunted." Vec looked at the crystal on her chest and frowned. "It's too weak. I don't have enough energy to recharge it safely." Jake stepped forward. "There has to be a way." Vec stared at him. "If I try and it fails, she'll die on the spot." Jake clenched his fists. "And if we do nothing, she dies slowly." Sela looked at both of them. Then, without fear, she lay down on the table. Her voice was steady. "I would rather die trying to live than fade away in silence." Jake stood by her side, holding her hand tightly. The crystal flickered once, then twice. Then Vec flipped a switch. A loud hum filled the lab. Lights blinked. Machines roared, and Sela screamed. Her body arched. The crystal glowed bright red. Jake didn't let go. "Stay with me," he shouted. "You're not alone anymore." Asterisk, she opened her eyes, and the crystal was glowing like never before. Bright, pure, alive. Sela sat up slowly, her breath steady for the first time in days. Her skin no longer looked pale. Her hands no longer trembled. The energy inside her had returned. But something was wrong. Jake felt it first. Vec wasn't smiling. He was staring at the glowing crystal, not like a friend, but like a man who had just found treasure. Jake narrowed his eyes. "You okay, Sela?" She nodded. "I feel strong." "But..." Vec stepped back toward the wall quietly, casually. His hand hovered near a black switch. Jake stood up fast. "What are you doing?" Vec's face changed. "You brought me the last pure crystal. Do you even understand what that's worth?" Sela's eyes went wide. "No." "Vec, please." He hit the switch. Metal walls slammed down over the doors. Red lights flashed overhead. "You think I ran this place for kindness?" Vec growled. "I kept it hidden for the day your kind would crawl back. Now look, your energy could buy me a ship, a fleet." Jake stepped between Sella and Vec. "You lead to her." Vec smiled coldly. "I lied to both of you." He pulled out a strange weapon, humming with red fire. Jake whispered to Sella, "Can you fight?" She touched her crystal. It pulsed brightly in her hand. "Yes," she said. Vec aimed. But before he could fire, Max lunged from the shadows. His jaws clamped onto Vec's arm, biting hard. The weapon fired into the ceiling. Jake didn't wait. He tackled Vec to the ground, punching hard. Sparks flew as the weapon slid across the floor. "Run!" Jake shouted. Sella grabbed the weapon, then pulled Jake up. Max growled, blood on his teeth, ready for more. They ran down a dark hallway. Doors slammed shut behind them. Walls shifted. Sirens blared. "This place is a maze." Jake shouted. "I remember a way out," Sella said, leading fast. Behind them, Vec's voice echoed through speakers. "You won't leave alive." "That crystal is mine." Sella led them through a narrow tunnel lit by glowing wires. They climbed a ladder into a storage room. A small ship sat under a tarp, half broken, but still shining. Jake's eyes lit up. "Can that thing fly?" Sella looked at it. "If it doesn't explode, yes." Max barked once. "Good enough." They jumped in. Sella powered it up using her own crystal. The ship buzzed like a sleeping beast waking up. But Vec had reached the door. He stood there, wounded but smiling. "You can't outrun me. I have your signal. I will always find you." Sella stared at him, calm and fearless. "No," she said. "Not anymore." She placed her hand over the crystal core inside the ship and focused. The light pulsed once, twice, then dash boomed out. The ship shot through the roof, flames trailing behind. They were in the sky. Free. But not safe. Not yet. Jake looked at Sella. She was glowing, not just her crystal, but her face, her spirit. "You did it," he said. Sella looked back at him. "No, we did it." The ship's alarm suddenly beeped. Jake's smile faded. "What now?" Sella stared at the screen. A new signal was chasing them. Bigger, faster, more. "Hunters." Jake gripped the controls. "Then let's finish what we started." The stars looked calm, but death was right behind them. The stolen ship shook as Jake pushed the controls hard. Red lights flashed across the panel. Behind them, a dark hunter ship was closing in, big and fast. Sella gripped the seat beside him, her crystal glowing like a star inside the cockpit. "We can't outrun it," Jake said. Sella didn't answer. She was staring at the crystal chamber in the engine, glowing brighter than ever. Too bright. Jake looked at her. "What are you thinking?" Sella touched the glass gently. "This ship runs because of me, my light." Jake's eyes widened. No, don't even think about it." "If I give it all," Sella whispered, "you'll live. Max will live. The ship will fly fast enough to escape." Jake stood up, angry. "And what about you?" "You'll burn out, Sella. That thing is your life." She looked at him and smiled. Maybe it was meant to save more than just me. Jake knelt in front of her. "You said you wanted to live." "I did," she said softly. "And then I met you. And now I know what living really means." Jake's voice cracked. "There has to be another way." She leaned forward. Her silver hand touched his face. "I don't want to die," she said. "But if I do this, it won't be dying. It will be choosing, for the first time in my life." Tears filled Jake's eyes. He shook his head. "I won't let you." But the ship shook again, hit by a warning blast. Sella stood. She walked to the crystal chamber. Jake tried to stop her. She turned and smiled gently. "You gave me warmth when I was frozen, a name when I was just a number, and a home when I had none." She placed her hand over the core. It pulsed once, twice, then exploded with light. Jake covered his eyes. The ship screamed forward like a comet, tearing through the stars. The hunter ship vanished behind them, lost in the wake of the burst. Silence. When Jake opened his eyes, they were alone, drifting in peace. But Sella, she had fallen. Jake ran to her side. Her body was still. The crystal dim. No, Sella, he whispered. Stay with me. He held her close, but her chest didn't rise, not even once. 3 months later, Jake's cabin was rebuilt stronger, warmer, fuller. In the garden, strange alien flowers bloomed. Glowing petals, soft silver roots. Max barked happily as children from nearby villages visited the new safe shelter Jake had built for travelers, lost ones, refugees, or anyone with nowhere to go. Jake now had a map on his wall marked with places of danger and places of hope. On the shelf sat a small crystal. Inside, a faint glow still flickered. Not gone, not forgotten. Sometimes, on quiet nights, Jake would sit by the fire and whisper, I didn't lose you, I became you. And sometimes, when the wind was just right, Max's ears would twitch and Jake would smile, because deep inside, he knew. Family is more than blood. It's the ones who choose to stay, the ones who see your soul, and the ones who make you feel home.